Hello and welcome back to the Epic Z's. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use a CAD software called SketchUp. SketchUp I find fairly easy to use and you can do some pretty complex stuff with it. I'm just going to go into the basics. I'm not quite sure how to get that advanced with it, but I know enough to be able to use it. And you can use this if you just want to design something for like a school project or something like that. Or if you wanted to 3D print something, you have the ability to export the things that you create in this in a file that 3D printers can use. So there are a lot of different uses for this. This is the website that you're going to want to go to download it, sketchup.com, and you can just click the download SketchUp. Make sure you download, for your operating system, and then it should, go into your downloads folder. Yep, here, and you can just click that and then go through the steps for installing. And once that installs, you should get three different things. Style Builder, SketchUp, and Layout. We're just going to be using the one that says SketchUp, and it looks like this little staircase thing. So you can just double click that. And so if you haven't used it before, it might prompt you to do some things. Just go through that. But once you do that, you should be able to just go to Template, and they have lots of different templates to choose from. For this, I'm just going to be using the 3D printing template, and then in inches. You can do it in metric or standard, whatever one you want to do. I'm just going to be using inches. And then you can click Start using SketchUp. And once that loads, you should get this screen. So the controls for SketchUp basically are if you hold the mouse wheel and move your mouse, then it'll rotate the perspective. If you hold Shift and press down the mouse wheel and then slide the mouse around, it'll pan. Yeah, and then if you left click, that can be used to like select stuff, and you can see if it's selected, it'll be highlighted blue. And you can just click off again with the left mouse to unselect. Right mouse button doesn't really do much in this. So as you can see, this is like a 3D setup. You have your X, Y, Z scales. For now, you can just click on this little like default object, I guess, and you can click delete. And so once that is gone, what you're going to want to do first is I'm basically in this video going to be showing you for the first part of it how to use all of these different tools up here in your toolbar. And then the second part will be actually creating something. It's going to look sort of like a house, I guess. So first, I'm going to show to create shapes, essentially. That's the building block of your designs. You can go here and you have four main different shapes that you can do: a polygon, circle, rotated rectangle, and rectangle. So for rectangle, you can just go wherever you'd like it. If you wanted to start at the origin, you'll find that it sort of like snaps to certain things. Like it'll snap to this axis and the different axes and the midpoint right here, or the origin. And then if you left click and drag, it will you can manipulate the rectangle. And certain, like this, you'll see there's a dotted line. I think this is just showing you that it is a square. At least that's what I thought it did. Maybe it doesn't. Oops. Yeah, I believe if it has that dotted line, that means that it is a perfect square. Whereas if it doesn't, it's just a rectangle. And you can also, if you were like trying to 3D print something to a specific dimension, and you needed it to be like fairly close to exact, what you can do is, let's say I wanted this to be a 5" by 5". You can just type in 5, and you'll see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen it says dimensions, and you'll see what you're typing in. So type 5, comma 5, and then enter, and you'll see here that it'll pop up and automatically create this square. And you'll see also the dimensions down. Those are the new dimensions of the shape. And you can also, if we go to rotated rectangle, this is essentially a rectangle. If you click and then like find the starting point, I guess, that wherever you want to make it, and click again, then you can sort of like drag it around, and you'll see this little protractor thing happen. And if you click, it essentially just tilts the rectangle. I'm just gonna delete that. And if you want to delete something, you can go to the eraser and just hold down your left mouse button, highlight over the edges or the shape that you want to delete, and then release, and it will delete. And and if you want to undo something, Control Z will work. Or you could probably go to edit, and you can just undo the last thing you did. And if you just wanted to delete like one thing, it does that, and then it has just the last edges, but it gets rid of the face. So if you wanted to do that for whatever reason, you could do that too. Okay, so next shape, circle, it just creates a circle. And for this, the dimension that you'd be typing in, like if I type in 3, that's just the radius. So that is the circle, and then polygon, it's just like a hexagon, I guess. And you can also like specify the radius, like 4, and it does that. Okay, so the next tool is push and pull, which is kind of like it raises up and changes the shape from a 2D shape to a 3D shape. So like if I highlight over this surface, you'll see it sort of gets dotted. And then if I click and drag up, then you can change the height of it. So let's say I want this to be 4 inches tall, so I'll type 4 and click enter. So now it's a little bit of a rectangular prism, I guess. And you can also do this with all different sides, that side, all of them. Whoops. Next is offset tool. So if you highlight over a face, then you'll see it highlight itself. And then if you click and drag, you'll see that it sort of like makes a little rectangle inside of this. And so if I just like go right here and let go, you'll see now that there are 2 separate faces in here. Whoops. So now if I went back to that push or pull tool and then highlighted over this and then dragged up, you'll see now it sort of is offset a little bit into the original rectangle. I'm just going to undo there. And then if you did this, you could also click and then drag there, like that. And now you'll see that it's offset so that it's a little bit, it hangs over. And then you could again do something like that. And you can sort of mess with however you wanted it to look like. So you can do like something like that. Alright, so next tool is the move tool, is what it's called. So this one, it doesn't look the nicest if you just do it randomly, because then you could get like stuff that looks really weird like that. But if you do it like along an axis, so if you highlight over the face and you'll see it sort of like a green line, that means that you're on that axis specifically, and it'll just move left and right. And you can also do that, you'll see the red, or there's the blue. Sometimes you might have to move to a different position if you wanted to like get the blue. You might have to move to the so that you're looking on at a side angle. So yep. And then if you just do a face, if you do a face, then it just sort of moves the face around, or not the face, the edge, I mean. But that's sometimes, like, you see, you get some really funky stuff happening. So I think if you're gonna do the move tool, unless you're trying to make something that looks kind of abstract, I guess, I would do it along, make sure you're doing it along an axis, because then it looks a little more neat like that, instead of some crazy thing like that. Okay. Now the rotate tool, if you click on the edge, or the face, and then click again, then you'll see that it essentially rotates that face. You can get some weird looking stuff. If you did it along an edge, and you can, like, when you click, it doesn't do it yet, you sort of select your starting point. So let's say I wanted to start right here, and then I wanted to start rotating. You can get some, again, pretty strange looking stuff. And this only rotates along that axis. So, like, you'll see that, and if you ever, like, want to stop moving something, and just click escape. Escape. And then, so you'll see that it changes color depending on which axis you're going to rotate it on. So, like, blue is just going to be the z-axis. Like that. Alright, this tool is the scale tool. This is sort of, it's basically just a scaling, like, the sizes of each different, like, if you want the length or width. So, like, that will do that. So you'll get some, like, overhang, or you could make something like that, like a ramp. This will do, like, both length and width will get smaller. And this is this dimension. It's pretty straightforward how that works. And now this tool is the measuring, the tape measure tool. Basically, if you go to, like, a specific point, like, let's say right here on this side, you'll see the blue, it's the midpoint. If I click there and then go down, and I make sure I'm on the z-axis so that I know that, like, it's a straight line, and then I go down to the next midpoint, whoops, don't click, my bad, and just highlight over it, and it'll tell you the length of that distance, and you'll see that it is 3.64 and then a couple other numbers. It's kind of messy, but if you did it, like, down here where we actually measured out the distance, you'll see that it's 5 inches. So, like, again, if you were trying to make something that was very precise in measurements, then you could use this to, like, confirm and make sure that you had it right. So yeah. And then this tool is if you wanted to, like, if you're doing some sort of design project and you needed to label something, like maybe I say, like, hey, right here, you know, this is, like, face 1, maybe. I don't know. And then you'll see it'll sort of label that as face 1. So, like, if you were just making a complex thing, maybe working on something for a design project, and you needed to make sure you knew, like, what part was going to end up being what, you could use that to help you out. This is the paint tool. There are many different types of paint color. These are sort of like just solid colors, so, like, if you highlight over a face, it'll change it to that color. It'll look a little funny because we have such small dimensions, because they're only, like, 5 inches. So, like, if I go to the brick, you'll see it's very, very zoomed in. I don't know if there's a way to fix that, or if you just have to, like, I bet if we made a giant rectangle and then colored it with the brick, see there, now it looks a little bit better. So those the materials that you can add to it generally look better if you're working with larger faces. Otherwise it's going to look like it'll, whoops, only show a tiny bit of the material instead of fitting it to the size of your thing, which is a little bit annoying, but I guess that's the way they made it. I don't know. And then these tools are essentially the same. This is the equivalent of holding down the mouse wheel. Like, it just does that. And this is equivalent of holding shift in the mouse wheel. It just pans around. These can like mess with your zoom. So like if you wanted to zoom around somewhere else, you could do that. And then this changes your, like, I don't know, I guess this just shows the entire, like it fits everything into the screen. That's pretty much what that does. I think the last thing, there's two more things. This is a draw tool. This is like if you wanted to make your own weird shape or something like that, you could do that. And you can also do freehand, so you could do like some weird looking shape, I guess. I don't know. If you wanted to make something like that and you wanted to do it out of your freehand, I think it looks kind of sloppy, but I guess it just depends on what you're trying to make. This is so that you can make arcs. So like if I went here and I make sure I'm on the red face, click, click again. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, so it's essentially this, wherever you put the protractor is going to be the midpoint. So like right now, as you can see, it's going to sort of do that. But if I wanted to do, like, this is what I was trying to do. You select where you want the center to be and then where you want it to go out to. And then you can sort of draw your arc. So there, now I have like a little, I don't know, dome sort of thing. And then if I wanted to, like, I could get rid of this stuff here. That. Whoops, but I don't want to get rid of that. Whoops. Escape. So then I could extrude this, and like, then you have a somewhat dorm. And it'll sort of like snap if you highlight over this edge, then it'll snap to that edge. So then you know that you're lined up perfectly. And there are a couple other different types of arcs that you can do. Like this one has 2 points where you essentially select like point 1 and then point 2, and then you can change just like how big you want the arc to be. 3 point is the same idea. You pick point 1, point 2, and then the final point, like that. And the pie essentially just makes like a pie, like a slice of a pie, like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the different tools. And this is, I don't think I talked about this one. This is just to select different faces. So like if I wanted to select this face and that face, I can like hold control to select more than one face. Like that. And if I wanted to delete those, I could like just delete those. And then these are not really tools, they're just to like add extensions and other objects that you might want to add to. But yeah, that's not really something I'm going to talk about that much. So yeah, those are the basic tools that you can use in SketchUp. And while they may seem sort of, you know, basic, like what I've been doing with random little shapes that don't really amount to much, you can end up like manipulating these using the different properties that you have to make some pretty interesting and complex things. So next, I'm going to be showing you how to make a house using these tools up here. So now for our house. We're going to open up a new project for that, so you can just go up here and click Save As, name it, choose where you want, save, if you want to save it. We didn't do a whole lot in here, so if you don't want to save it, you know, that's fine, I guess. Go up here, New Project, and it should open up a new project, and you can just highlight over this, if it will let me, there, and then click Delete, just get that out of there. And now we're going to just build a simple house. It's going to be like a just a rectangular house with a door, chimney, maybe a couple of windows. So to start out, just go to your rectangle tool. Make sure you're hovering over the origin. Click and start dragging out. We're going to make this 16 by, let's say, 12. There. So this obviously isn't to scale because this is in inches, so this would be like, I guess if you wanted to 3D print a little house, this would be more about I guess if you were to 3D print it, these would be sort of dimensions you might want to use. So now we're going to start extruding up like so, and we're going to go up to 9. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do is click the line tool and make sure you're hovering over the midpoint on the roof. Click and drag along the axis to the next midpoint and click. And it will make a line here dividing these into 2 separate parts. So what we're going to do is get the move tool, hover over this line that we've just made, and then move it up, I'm going to say 4 inches. There. So now we essentially have just made a little bit of a slanted roof for our house. Alright, so now I guess for the door here, what you're going to want to do is we're going to do it with the line tool. So essentially we're envisioning a door to be like right here roughly. So start where you want one edge of the door to be. Let's say like right there, and go up about, let's say, 4.5 inches. And go over like 3, and then back down to the edge. And it doesn't have to be perfect for this, I guess, because you could measure it out exactly if you wanted to. Or what we could do is like highlight these and then click the move tool, and then you could move it over a little bit. Like that looks a little bit more centered. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So deselect that, and now you can go up to the select tool, which we're already on, and select this face and click delete. So now we have a little bit of an opening, but as you can see, it's sort of 2D. Like right there, there's not really any wall to it. So I'm going to go back to the extruder here and extrude it just a little bit. And I'm going to do that with all sides. Just a little bit there, and a little bit back. And now you'll see like, oh, wait a second. Now this is like this, that's an easy fix. Just get your move tool and drag that until it snaps. Like that. Alright. So let's make some windows. So we're going to do the same process we did for, sort of the same process that we did our door, except I'm going to this time show you how to do it with, it's a little bit an easier way. You can just get the rectangle tool and find like roughly the center, like make the window, I'm going to make it a little bit, not exactly square, there. And now we can move this a little bit to the center more, and then select it and delete. And I guess it didn't feel like there. So I guess you have to make the window or the opening first and then extrude if you want this space there to make it not look 2D. I'm not quite sure why. But I guess because normally it's expecting you to make a hollow shape, but with this, now that you have something in between, it's making, these are like edges, I guess. I don't know. So I guess make the hole first and then extrude the wall, and we'll just pull this over again. And then we are going to do the same thing on the other side. Actually, I'm going to see what the dimensions roughly were for this so we can try to get a little bit of... Oh, that's the paint tool. It's about 3 inches, and then... So it's 3 inches by 3.3 inches. So 3 by 3.3. I think that... What is this? Let's see. That's... Oh, it made it the opposite of what I wanted it to be. That should be an easy fix. If you go to the rotate tool, click... Oh. Whoops. Just click escape there. I'm not sure that we were rotating... There. That's better. I think we were rotating this entire face by accident. I'm just gonna drag this a little bit this way. There. And then delete. Oh, what happened here? I'm just gonna click undo a few times. That's better. I think when I rotated it, it got a little bit like messed up somehow. There we go. Now everything's how we want it to be. Except we do have to delete this, so just delete that. And then I'm going to undo it and move it a little more to the center because I think it got off-centered again. And now delete it. It's pretty close. And now I'm going to extrude this face a little bit and move this. Okay. So now we have a little bit of a, like some windows, a door. Now we're going to do a chimney. So to do a chimney, I'm going to go to the line tool and find like roughly where I want the chimney to be. So I'm going to say like right there. And then we're going to go up, make sure you're on the Z axis, or the blue axis as it wants to call it. And go up 3 inches over, I'm going to say 3 inches again, I guess. And then down back to the face right there. There. And then we need to go back to here to make it so that it'll actually create the face. So then extrude this 3 inches. There. Alright. So now I don't think it would look, let's see what it looks like if we put some, yeah, it's too small for the textures to actually look nice. So I guess we could no, it's a little bit small for the textures to work correctly. So I guess that's the house. And if you wanted to, you could add some more windows. You could, because it's a little bit small, it's kind of difficult to work inside it, just to like make a inside, because it gets a little bit, since you're so zoomed in, the camera has trouble rotating around inside it. So, but this is like if you wanted to 3D print this, you could do that. And I'm going to add a little more, just go down here. And actually, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Never mind. Alright. So, and I guess I'll do one more thing. I'm going to make paned windows. So if we did like right here, and then go down, and then like that. Whoa, what did you do there? I'm gonna try that again. I think I might have clicked one too many times. Alright, so I guess I can't do that for some reason. It's not letting me do that. But anyways, this is a basic house, and then you could 3D print this if you wanted to, or if you're like making, like if you were in a like architecture or something like that, designing things. You don't just, you could make it a lot more advanced than just a cube house. I mean, you can make like skyscrapers, monuments, stuff like that. And it's also, CAD softwares are a good way to test like prototypes. Like if you had an idea for building something, you could make a prototype of it in SketchUp or any other CAD software, and then 3D print it to sort of like play with it, see if what it would work, if it would work, and then that way, you don't go on to the final product and then it ends up not working. So this is a good way of testing out things um, in the 3D printing aspect of it. So that is all for this video. Thank you for watching.